Hello everyone. So, I am here to talk about a future stream. On December 21st, 2024, I will be live at, I think, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Why at this ungodly hour? Well, it's because the King's Cup Finals is happening. For those who don't know, this has been an official Nintendo tournament in Japan, where teams qualify, playing a league rotation for one of the modes, in which the top 8 teams then play in a single elimination playoff stage. The winner of each mode is the king of that mode, and all 4 of these kings will collide in a finals that they have been posted about a lot. And not only am I there to watch this amazing tournament run, because it's going to be some of the best teams in Japan, and I'm very curious to see how it goes, and it is an all-mode setting, but at the same time, I'm also there because if third kits happen, I've talked about the date of mine a little bit ago, if they were to get announced, this is the date everyone's looking at. This is where people think we would see them posted. Why? Well, 1, because we didn't see them at the season. 2, the data mine thing I said. And 3, wait, hold on, I'm gonna land in a screen. Yep. I remembered. This isn't multiple takes. This is probably fine, right? Anyway. So, on top of that, in Splatoon 2, Sheldon's picks were announced at Koshien, a Nintendo tournament, official, for Turf War, which was a big event in Japan. So the idea is, if they announce it at a tournament like that before, maybe this is where we'll see it being announced again. And so, if you are going to be awake at that ungodly hour, you can join me, and we will end up seeing if third kits do happen. But since it's going to be on the topic of everyone's mind, and AlphaStar did a video saying stop posting about third kits, I'm here to continue posting about third kits one more time. I want to do a little bit more of a discussion. Now that the meta's settled down a little bit for competitive play, as well as just talking about the game more casually, outside of the competitive sphere. How big of a deal are third kits? Now, let's start with the obvious. Third kits are a net positive regardless, no matter what. There ain't really a negative here. Even if they drop third kits and there's like 10 of them, and like 10 of them are terrible, then like it's still 10 more weapon kits in the video game. It's still more options that people get to pick. I think at the end of the day, that's a positive no matter what. So that's cool. But what's the potential here? I think more than likely, and I've said this before, but I'll reiterate this theory. If we do get third kits, I think we will get more third kits than in Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 had more than Splatoon 1. I feel like that's a relatively, not a crazy take here, That kind of makes sense. That if they want to put them in the game, they'd probably do more than in the previous game, but we might not get third kits, and they've had third kits in the other games, so who knows? But I think that'll be a possibility. That means around minimum would be about 30 weapons, about half of the weapons currently in the game, to get third kits. I think that's a pretty good number. And I also think third kits have a very high chance of being impactful. In previous Splatoon games, I think third kits have generally been higher quality than the first kits and second kits. In fact, I think half the reason Splatoon 2 can make an argument for having decent weapon kits in the game is its set of third kits generally actually being pretty good. And I think if that happens with Splatoon 3 already having a better quality of kits, in my opinion, then we'll be in for a lot better of options when third kits come out. We'll see, though. No guarantees. So, with that, I think the possibility of around 30 weapon kits of probably better quality is already going to be huge for the game. And I think it's even bigger for Splatoon 3 than previous games, because it's a game with so many different specials and subs that I think one of the main critiques has been the limited amount of options. I still have specials I really like using in this game that I don't really like any of the options they're on. So I'll, pick the special and enjoy it, but I won't really enjoy the weapon I'm playing. Like, Kraken is still an example of this. My only enjoyable Kraken weapon is range, which now gets 2 of them a game. So I don't really get to enjoy Kraken as much, even though I do really like Kraken. So it's just something to think about. I think that will be very nice to see. I think more options is going to be a good thing. I think casual-wise, it's a very obvious win no matter what, as long as they do some fun combinations, which should not be hard to do, then I think we'll be good there. How about competitively, though? Splatoon 3 is in a really good era, obviously, and we have had a point for a bit now where weapon diversity has been an all-time high. Ever since the nerfs, we've been seeing a ton of things doing well, and that is now slowly starting to settle down. We're getting a little bit closer to a meta, especially as we see the King's Cup tournament and the Zones playoffs, and what we saw there was definitely it narrowing down a bit more to like Splash Shot plus Edit Pencil plus two of the four of like Sword, Mint, Bucket, and then if you're with a sword, you could do a dually. Something like that was like the main meta. Not the only thing we saw, but that's like kind of where we're going to. And so, if that's the case, then I still think while we have a lot of options to be used right now, more of them will probably end up helping. I don't really see something like K52 that ends up narrowing other options, especially since K52 by itself wasn't entirely the reason options started to decrease in the first place. It was other factors as well. So I'm not really worried about any kit like really ruining things. At the same time, I do think there are really key areas where new kits could matter a lot. So, for example, I think the main problem with a lot of anchors right now isn't Pencil's existence, it's the lack of cooler options. Because if you don't want an anchor, and you want a cooler, you're playing NZAP. Because we've, like, gutted Try's cooler output. We made it plus 20, and now Fizzy doesn't paint well. It's cooked for Try. So, like, you know, if we're not going to make Dynamo and H3 relevant meta options, and it's been 2 years, and we haven't done that yet, then what if we put more tacticooler weapons in the game? Something they would almost certainly do, given how they know it's a very meta-relevant special. What if we have other options that are good that could open up things a lot? That could be the case for other specials as well, but I think for Cooler, it's a particularly big deal. Because while Pencil is very good right now, I don't think it's untouchable. Edit is closer to it than it's ever been before, with HP specials being more prominent again. So it could be really cool to see other weapons with Tacticooler. Potentially the one on screen right now, just pointing that out. Anyway. So I think the potential is definitely there. There's probably a universe where we get third kits and not many of them matter. But I think for the most part, even if a few options do end up working, it'll probably end up being something that's helpful at the end of the day. I think that more variety is a good thing, and realistically, weapon kits are one of my biggest gripes with Splatoon 3. And if we somehow have made it to the good timeline where third kits are going to happen, I think it'll be a big net positive. There's one more thing to talk about, though. And that is community hype around it. Third kits have become kind of a meme in discussion at this point. It's been talked about for so long because people thought we might get them in sooner seasons. There's been this whole back and forth on if they're even going to happen at all, and evidence pointing in different directions. There's been discussion about weapon kits being more important with more specials in the game. And so because of that, I feel like the reactions for third kits and community hype around them would be much higher than usual. Not saying they haven't been hyped before, but it was kind of like a standard thing. It was like, oh, okay, we're getting third kits now in Splatoon 2. Now it's like, oh my god, we're actually going to get them if they, you know, happen. So I think we're definitely in a different time where this is going to be seen as a much bigger deal to the community, which might end up spreading how popular third kits would be in general if it's posted about. My point being that, like, more or less active Splatoon fans or people not as involved in Splatoon might have a better chance of hearing about it, because I think the Splatoon community will go absolutely insane if they happen. So, that is something to think about for sure. But yeah, I know a lot of people have been talking about third kits for a while. I know I've been propagating a lot of discussion on them, but honestly, it is just fun to think about, and you know, I'm here for it. I'm excited. I'm hoping that third kits do happen, and I really do want to see this for the game. I'll be honest, it would help a lot with my personal motivation. Same for a lot of other competitive players that I know, so here's hoping, everybody. We got a week to see if this announcement is really going to happen, and we just have to wait and see.